Hi, my name's Boston John, and I'm an alcoholic. I had something interesting happen yesterday on the way to my meeting. There's a part in our book. I'm going to grab my book. There's a part in our book, bottom of page 94. Talks about how to make the approach, gives you some useful ideas on how to deal with a person who might want to address a drinking problem, life problem, drug problem, whatever it might be. So talks about maybe how to interact. And tells us here, on your first visit, tell him about the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. If he shows interest, lend him a copy of your book. I carry my mini big book with me wherever I go. So if you see me at a meeting, I'm probably going to have my book with me on in my phone on the table. And a lot of times I'll jump into my book during a meeting. Somebody will say something like, "Oh yeah, I want to see that. That's on page so and so," or they'll say something that reminds me of something in the book, and I'll just look it up. I always have this book with me, and I keep it when I drive to my meeting. It's right here in my door panel. Yesterday, I'm leaving work to head to my meeting, and I'm in Las Vegas, and I'm driving down Boulder, getting ready to head to the meeting, driving down Boulder, and I'm at the light at Boulder and Charleston, and there's a big homeless population here in Las Vegas. Yesterday was 101 degrees. It was hot as hell. So I'm at Boulder and Charleston. I'm at a long red light there. At the intersection is a homeless person asking for money, going to each car. And I've struggled with my interaction sometimes with how to deal appropriately with homeless people, because they're gonna approach you when you're walking into a store or something. You can't avoid some interaction. So you can just walk by, which is usually what I do, just walk by, leave them alone. I've been trying to come up with a way that might be better, maybe a little more humane, rather than just walking by, ignoring them, rolling your window up. I remember that reading that part in that book, and on the bottom of 94, it talks about lend them your copy of this book. What I've done several times is when I'm approached in an aggressive manner, in a sense where I don't have any choice but to interact with the person, the homeless person. I just say, when they say, "Hey, you got a couple dollars, this and that," or whatever this story might be, I said, "Nah, I got a big book if you want it." And that usually drives them away, gives them a confused look, and they just move on. Because if I'm not saying, "Yeah, I got some money," or "No, I don't have any money," then that's all they have time for. They're done. So I decided that I'm going to try and take a different approach, and when I'm given no choice but to interact, I'm going to offer them the big book and just see what happens, So I'm at that light yesterday, and there's a female homeless person, and she isn't just standing on the corner at the light holding a sign up and waiting for somebody to hand her money. She's walking to each car in that lane. And when she gets to the car, she's stopping and standing at the window. So you got no choice. So she's going to the cars, and I'm several back. And I said, "Well, this light's pretty long. She's going to make it to me." I said, "If she comes to my window and stands there like everyone else is, I'm not going to ignore her. I'm not going to just look forward." I said, "I'm going to roll my window down and offer her the big book." So she goes through the first couple of cars in front of me, and she walks up to me. She's right here at my window. And I look at her, and she looks like she's mid to late 30s. She's looks obviously a little beat up. She's sunburned from being out, and she's got a cut here on her nose, like as if she's fallen down. Not that she got beat up. Looks like she fell and scraped it, so she's got a big cut in her nose. So she starts talking to me before I got the window down. So I put the window down, knowing I'm gonna talk to her. I said, "How's it going? How you doing?" She goes, "Hey." She starts doing some story. "You got a couple dollars?" I said, "Nah, I don't have any money today." I said, "I got the big book if you want it." And she said to me, "The AA big book?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You want it?" And she stood at my window and looked at me for what seemed about 2 or 3 seconds. She looked at me and she said, "Yeah, I'll take it." So I grabbed my book out of the door panel where I keep it. I kind of took some paperwork out of it that I had. I handed her the book. She said, "Thank you." I rolled up my window and I went on my way. You know, I've done that, offered them before, and a lot of times I offer it in a sense where what I'm really saying is I'm offering my big book is I'm saying, get the fuck away from me. You know what I mean? But I'm masking it behind what seems to be I'm offering them a big book. I know they don't want it, but I said, you know what? I got to stop doing that because I'm being a jerk. Even if I'm offering the big book to these people, when I'm offering to some guy who's aggressively approaching me, yeah, I got the big book if you want it. I'm talking down to them. I'm telling them, hey, your problem is you don't need $2, you need a big book. And it's not a good approach. And it's just me telling them, get away from me. And I said, you know what, that's not the way to do it. So when that woman came to my window, looking how she looked, and when she spoke, she didn't seem like she had mental health issues, or she didn't seem like out of whack, she didn't seem high. And so she was just talking to me, and she just looked a little beaten up, you know, by the elements in her conditions. And I just offered her the big book in a way that I would offer it to somebody in a meeting. And I said, I got a big book if you want it. And, you know, when I asked her that, as soon as she hesitated, I knew she knew. Because she said the AA big book. And I knew that she had some experience in some sort of 12-step program like Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, when she was out there in that corner that day, yesterday, I don't think she thought that this topic would come up. And I'm not fooling myself. I'm not thinking, oh, you know, this homeless person's going to turn their life around. I gave him a book and I carried the message. I don't fool myself into thinking that way. But what I like to think is I gave this person the opportunity to have the book. She grabbed it and she kind of put it in her waist here, you know, in her pants. And she took it and then she carried on, went to the next car. But it was important for me to cross that threshold in a sense where I didn't offer the big book in a sense like as an insult, and I offered it as a way to help and to give this person the opportunity to have that book. It tells me specifically, lend them a copy of your book. You know, obviously I have a bunch of these, you know, so I just took my paperwork out and gave it to her. And who knows? I tried to carry the message in a respectful and probably like I followed the directions, and I wasn't hurtful in the message, and I didn't overwhelm her, and I didn't try and preach to her. I asked her if she wanted it. If she said no, the window would have just went up and I would have went on my way, you know. In that 15-second interaction, I did my best to carry the message and to reach out to somebody certainly less fortunate and in a worse shape and under tough conditions, especially as a woman. Anyway, have a good rest of your day.